I'm eating my yogurt again.
Smart. We gotta pay for this now.
Oh.
So that was the bit that I was going to improv, which is if I really could make a deal with Pod and get them to give us 5 stars.
A parody, then you don't have to pay for it.
Exactly, that's what I'm doing.
Beautiful.
Yeah, be climbing up those ranks on Apple Podcasts. Podcasts. As you guys know, I don't know how to start the podcast yet.
That's a good one.
So
that's a keeper.
So it's either going to be a pitch perfect Kate Bush impression or Welcome to Late the Movies once again. My name is Ben Hull, and this is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie, etc. blind spots. Every week we'll pick a movie, or sometimes more than a week, and sometimes not just movies, that either I or a guest hasn't seen before or just came out so no one had seen before, and we'll talk about it. And really should have by now doesn't really apply. It just came out a couple weeks ago. It'd be really...
You should have seen it by now, though.
If you're on this podcast, hopefully you've seen it by now. You really should have.
If you are subscribed to Netflix, you're supposed to binge watch this stuff, so you should have seen it by now.
And if you're not, you should cancel your Netflix subscription because there's no reason to have it. Anyway, this half week's episode is on Stranger Things Season 4, Part 1. We are recording this in mid-June, so the last 2 episodes of the season aren't out yet, but for search engine optimization, we're doing it we're doing it now. No, I'm kidding. It's right in the middle of Halloween in June, low-budget horror month. Obviously, the Stranger Things Season 4 episodes each cost around $30 million. It is not low-budget horror. But since it has so many of the hallmarks and references to explicitly a couple of the movies we've already done this month, it seemed like too perfect of a timing thing to not have. In the spirit of binge TV, we're going to have several cliffhangers throughout that we immediately answer a couple seconds later. And numerous reveals, the first of which is I shall reveal. I didn't actually plan it out that this would come out during Halloween in June, where we're talking about low budget horror, where they have Robert Englund like literally on the show, who obviously we talked about in the not Stranger Things, in the Nightmare on Elm Street episode, because he plays Freddy Krueger, and he's on this season of Stranger Things. So didn't plan any of that. Just kind of happened. Seemed like it was a sign. I don't know. Before we get into it, have you guys watched anything since the last time we recorded an episode? Which was we just finished about 5 minutes ago.
Yes, I actually rewatched the first Spider-Man movie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Still good.
Still good. I was a little disappointed, though. As soon as I finished, I realized I don't have the second one.
Yeah, I had to give Bezos a few dollars for that one. No good.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's yeah, I like it better than the first one, but they're both excellent.
Yeah, I forgot how good it was until I rewatched it. And I was like, wow, this movie's actually really good.
Tobey Maguire ones?
Yeah, the Tobey Maguire ones.
Yeah.
And it was like very
so good.
Refreshing because it's very, very different than the Marvel movies now.
And something that those, because obviously blank check, some of those guys were talking about, I had the same experience with, we're watching specifically those 2 movies where I was surprised by how much of it, like I remembered the like line by line, delivery by delivery, exactly how those movies are.
I remember seeing that movie in theaters.
Oh yeah,
Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, me too.
That was like a big deal, like going to see that movie.
I remember almost exactly where I sat at the Regal in Swansea for Spider-Man 2, and I kept turning to R.I.P. Kept turning to my friend next to me and being like, doesn't this look like it'd be really cool to do in a video game? Because we had a pre-order from the GameStop at Swansea Mall that we were picking up for Spider-Man 2. Also R.I.P. GameStop R.I.P. Hopefully. And yeah, as they continue to have labor walkouts on their terrible policies. I got a Spider-Man 2, the video game shirt when I got my pre-order that day that I held on to for a very long time, but I don't know where it is anymore, unfortunately. Because that would actually sell for probably like $30 on eBay now, and I could use that money. Buy another SD card because these keep breaking. Anyway, That was your thing. I'm sorry I bulldozed it.
No, that was all I had. So
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
We
'Cause
watched the first episode of Miss Marvel.
just now?
yes,
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
doing it on my phone
We
while I
weren't
was
paying
doing the last
attention.
podcast.
Yeah.
It's all content now. You watched it on times 10 speed.
Yes. Yep. It was fine. They shouldn't release the first episode. They shouldn't have released the first episode on its own because like not much happens.
Mm.
I was interested to watch it because our toddler really likes the Spidey and his amazing friends.
And she's
and
in
she's
it.
an amazing friend. And I was like, is this really a character? How does this look like when it's not a preschool show?
Yeah.
And
How does this look like?
Not great in my opinion, but who knows? I've only seen a little bit of it, so
better
Yeah.
than the preschool show.
Well, the internet has already review bombed it, so
Oh, no. They put another woman in a lead role.
they did.
Oh,
They made that
no.
mistake
What did I
again.
learn?
the like style of it is cool, but it is not. It's man. I think I'm just marveled out. Honestly.
It's nothing new.
It's nothing new.
Yeah.
I'm honestly out. After watching Top Gun Maverick and RRR, it's just like, oh, yeah, I forgot that action movies can not constantly undercut themselves and still be fun and inventive and fun to watch and look at. And I just don't get that from Marvel anymore, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, go back and listen to those episodes if you haven't yet from May.
Yeah, Moon Knight was still really good. That was definitely
I like
fresh.
Moon Knight. I did like Moon Knight.
I like Oscar Isaac. I still haven't watched
I think
Moon
that
Knight,
helps
though.
it a lot.
Mm.
Whoever the girl is who plays Miss Marvel is good too. But
Yeah, she seems pretty good.
Yeah.
So the one big thing that I was saving to talk about on this episode that I think dovetails nicely with the 80s nostalgia of Stranger Things, every week just about, we've been saying like, it's the 40th anniversary of blah. Last time it was Poltergeist. As we're recording this, I think we're a day from the 40th anniversary of E.T. And that's because a lot of people consider the summer of 1982 to be the best movie summer of all time. So, summer of 1982 lineup in no particular order. We got E.T., Blade Runner, Poltergeist, the first Tron, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, the second Mad Max, Road Warrior, which came out summer 82 in America, The Thing, which we'll be seeing shortly for its 40th anniversary, Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan, which is maybe the best Star Trek movie, Conan the Barbarian, Beastmaster, Friday the 13th Part 3, Rocky Part 3, Grease 2 for all you cool riders out there, Secret of Nim, and it goes on and on. And those all came out within like a 3.5 month span in 1982 summer. It's
I was
insane.
expecting a Terminator in there. I'm surprised there wasn't at least one Terminator.
No, can't have it.
you're asking for too much.
You're
now.
asking for too much now. But yeah, just an incredible movie summer. And so like I wanted to cover all those because all summer long it's going to be like, oh, it's the 40th anniversary of blah, blah, blah. And I just wanted to get those all out of the way during the 80s nostalgia episode that randomly has an extended reference to 1991 Silence of the Lambs in it. Whatever. Stranger Things
A
season
lot of
4,
references.
part 1. Is it good beyond recognizing things and being like Pepperidge Farms remembers? Or is there an actual show here with an emotional truth and characters and performances that you care about? Where are we on Stranger Things part 4? Sorry, season 4, part 1.
Meh on this season, to be totally honest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's the second best season.
Right?
Behind the first.
I was
Behind the
happy with
third, obvious. Behind the first.
Yeah, I'm always a big Stranger Things fan, so I wish I had seen like season 3 before I watched this because I forgot a lot of it.
I wish I had rewatched them all, honestly, because there are definitely questions I have where I'm like, shouldn't this character know this? Or like, wait, what is this person's story arc? Because this doesn't seem to match where I thought it was, kind of thing.
Mm.
And I don't know if they're just like taking a bit of a shift or if I'm remembering things wrong. And
I think what you're probably hung up on is Max being really beat up about Billy dying. right?
no, it's honestly, a lot of it is their parents. I'm like, what do their parents know? Because I thought somewhere along the lines,
Well,
the
Mike's
government
mom knows that she wanted some of that Billy.
she wouldn't
action.
want
Yeah,
Billy.
I
Forgot about that.
Wanted that Billy action.
I rewatched them before it came
Oh,
out. so
doesn't the government show up at the parents' houses at one point?
it does.
Do the parents know something?
They know that Elle was maybe a Russian operative that they were looking for, is basically the extent of what they know.
Don't they know that, like, because obviously they're aware a lot of weird things have happened in Hawkins, and they know their children were involved, though.
Kind of. They just know that the FBI showed up because of Elle, And then I think
And they know their son's dating her.
yes. Well, I don't think that I don't think they know that he has contact with her still.
Oh, okay.
They pretend
Yeah.
she just
I mean, he
disappeared.
could easily say he's just going to see his friend when he goes to California this season.
Because like there's definitely a point where they're like all this crazy things happening. They're like, our kids aren't involved. I'm like, what do you mean your kids aren't involved? Shouldn't you know your kids are involved?
So the issue that we're going to run into is with anything like that, you can just be like, yeah, it's a commentary, like it's a funny joke about how parents were disconnected in the 80s. It's, you know, Reagan told them don't care about your kids or whatever is the thing. And so you can be like, well, that's kind of stupid. And then they would just be like, no, that's on purpose. We meant it to be like that.
That was more of me like figuring out, like trying to remember. Like I wasn't sure on things like that, obviously. And like,
So, Robbie, you seem more locked into the history. Can you remind me, because I was struggling with this a little bit, the other people who work for the sheriff's department in Hawkins, weren't they involved in like some of the Upside Down stuff before? Because they seem like so at sea with this stuff.
They were always kept at arm's length.
Okay.
So
because obviously Hopper was like right in it.
Hopper had them investigate like the farms when the pumpkins were rotting and stuff.
The tunnel stuff, they were there for that.
They weren't in the tunnels.
Oh, okay.
They were at the farm and they were like, oh, there's some weird stuff here.
Yeah.
But only the lab people actually got into the tunnels and were like involved in that part. They had already taken off.
honestly, I think the thing that
And when the commies took over the mall, that was season 3?
That was
yes.
Okay.
I think my least favorite parts of this thing are remnants from season 3 because I did not like season 3. I remember not liking that, and I think it was mostly because the commies in the mall. I was like, "What is going on with this?"
Technically under the mall.
Under the mall, commies under the mall, and now they're in Russia. And anything that happens in Russia and this whole thing, I'm like, please just cut this out. Like, and it doesn't like. I feel like it didn't do anything for the plot at all, right? Like you could literally not watch any of the Russia stuff and you would have gotten all the information, right?
It got Will's mom out of the picture to make them meeting back up with Elle more difficult and more the kids on their own again.
Sure, but I mean, like, nothing that actually happens in Russia matters.
No.
It just like
It was getting
Joyce is
Will's
gone.
mom out of there. Yeah.
So if they were just like Joyce is leaving to go somewhere and then never showed any of this Russia footage at all, you'd have exactly the same amount of information if someone watched the whole season.
I don't know. I really like Hopper, so it was like good to see him
I
doing
like him
things.
too,
You know,
but
because
he
otherwise he
wasn't-
just wouldn't be in it.
I know, but he wasn't doing anything important.
So yeah, we should talk about the structure of it for sure. But I'll say up top, I'm probably with Ray. I think I'm higher on this season than you guys are. But
I said it was
Yeah, Robbie.
the second best.
Robbie's just being a hater over
I
here.
don't know why you hate it.
Oh yeah, you did say that. Sorry,
think-
it was Greg's hate
It's
just
just Greg.
spread over. So,
And-
I want to.
I don't want to say I hated it because everything that happened in Hawkins I thought was really good, actually.
Yes.
I think I was more upset because I think Joyce and Hopper are like two of my favorite characters. And they're like, let's just stick them here and have them do nothing for a lot of hours. So every time it switched, because they switched between the groups, every time I switched to their group, I was just like, I so badly want them to get out of Russia, but not because I'm like, I feel for these characters, I want them to be safe. It's because I'm like, I hate what's happening in Russia and I want these characters to do something I care about. Please get them out.
There's still part 2. There might be a big reason why they did the Russia thing. I'm hoping.
I think what's going to happen is part 2 is going to start, and they'll be on a plane, and the plane will crash, and they'll have to go back to a prison camp. The 4th one of the season. So I've told you this before, and I might have told Robbie too, but it is kind of funny that like they're having like pure uncut, like PG-13 rated Scooby-Doo goodness happening in Hawkins with like teens who are like maybe kind of in love with each other, but are investigating a haunted house, and there's cool stuff happening there. And you're like, oh yeah, this is the good stuff. Stay here. And then it cuts to Hopper in a prison work camp being like, I guess all men hate their fathers. Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, I don't care, dude. Like, David Harbour may be the best actor on the show, but dude, you're not selling this versus like the cool monster shit that's happening back
Maybe
there.
if they had showed a little bit more of the Demogorgon stuff, like while they were at the Russian camp, that would have like brought the supernatural thing back in, you know?
I guess, but it's
Like,
it's very
there were
bleak and it's not fun.
A lot of
They're literally in 3 different Russian prisons in the first part of the season.
a lot of time dedicated to like Joyce and Murray dealing with Yuri. And I'm like, I don't
So much Yuri business.
I could care less about Yuri.
There's like 8 different segments with Yuri in it.
Yeah.
Yuri might be gone forever. He may not come back. I don't remember what happened to him. He's just
They crashed the plane.
no. He
No,
made it
he's-
to the
he's
prison camp with them,
He's
but they
also
like
at the prison camp.
they abandoned him when they like go to like let the
Oh,
open the doors.
right. Yep.
They may never show Yuri again, and
We spent a lot of time with Yuri.
I don't care if they show him again. Honestly,
No.
No,
And
we
then-
spent a lot of time with Yuri.
I think it's the way they divided things. I think gets me too because like so Joyce and Hopper are probably my favorite like characters or like maybe favorite actors might be the better word for their.
Yeah,
But they're doing nothing.
David Harbour and Winona Ryder.
Yep, and then
I like Brett Gelman a lot too, who plays Murray.
yes, yep, I like him a lot too.
But
And-
you're just not doing things I want to see.
yes, and then my next favorite characters are probably like Steve for sure. He might be the best character on the show.
Steve's
And then it's like Steve, Max, Dustin are probably my next ones. And they stuck them all together. Nancy too. Nancy.
Yep.
Robin I really like too, actually. Yeah. So they stuck all like my favorite ones together. And then my least favorite characters are like Will, Mike, and probably Jonathan are like my next three least favorite. And then like Lucas. And they've stuck three of them. And then everything that happens with them now, I'm
What
like,
about Argyle?
I don't care about Argyle.
Yeah, I don't
So
give a
every
shit
time I
about
switch to them, I don't really care what's happening with them either, to be totally honest. I get, the government's trying to kill them, but like, did they do anything really this season at all?
Yeah. They ordered pizza, but it was a getaway pizza.
Because like, if you really think of it,
And then
I could
they-
summarize what they did in like 2 sentences for the whole season.
Do we want to do a plot summary for this one? You should have watched it already if you're listening to this, because as you could tell, we're doing spoilers.
Yeah, if you're spoiler alerts. But like I said, I
I'll
think
put that in the description.
honestly, the stuff that's going on in Hawkins is so good that it like carries it to the point where like
Yes.
I still enjoyed watching it, but
I agree.
I was just frustrated anytime they left Hawkins, and I was like, please go back.
I like Millie Bobby Brown enough, but I don't think they've given her anything interesting to do since pretty early in the show.
Yeah, she didn't
Um,
really do anything this season.
I mean,
I like
that
when she
bitch
hit
with the
that
roller
girl with the
skate.
skate. I like that.
Finn Wolfhard was arguably like the lead of season 1, and they haven't had any idea what to do with him since then.
They're just
Yeah.
making him worse and worse. Like
Yeah.
every time he's on screen, I'm like, wow, you're just becoming a horrible asshole.
Yes.
Like, and not even just like an aggressive, like you're just like an apathetic, like
No, you're either whining or not understanding why someone else is in real pain.
yeah, it's just like, what are you, man? They just were like, hey,
yeah, no,
you're,
what are you? Yeah.
you're just gonna be a regular teenager and like not be involved in the drama. Like just act like an unapologetic teenager the whole time.
So that was one of the things that I told you guys I wanted to talk about was like who your favorite characters are. And I think you hit the nail on the head, because what I wanted to bring up is I think they would agree with you. The characters they group together in Hawkins where they actually care about what happens, and everyone else gets sent to a Russian work camp, or they're in house arrest in California, or they're in a fucking tank again with Matthew Modine, who's for some reason there, and she's like 19 but calling him Papa, and it's really disturbing.
I don't like that.
I really wish she would just call him Doctor whatever. Not a fan. So why does he want her to call him Papa? That's more the creepy part for me.
That's the weird part. It's like,
Whatever.
why did you pick that? You know what I mean?
It's like you understand that like most of it is you're just really creepy. It's not just like the betrayal issues. Just be cool. just be like, you know what? You're older now. You're not 9 anymore. Why don't you call me Doctor whatever? I don't even know what his last name is. I'm sure they've said it, but every time they call him Papa, my brain breaks.
You're too old for Papa. Daddy will be fine.
Yes. Maybe he was just like, originally he was like, you guys call me Papa. You're never going to live to a point where you're old enough that this is creepy.
Yeah, I didn't come up with a second name. Just Doctor whatever, please.
But that's one of the things where I was like, oh, I don't care as much about
Yeah.
that. I was like, it's obvious they just didn't. This wasn't the plan originally.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
Yeah,
this
it's
wasn't the plan the
nitpicky.
whole time. I'm fine with that. Whatever. It's you know what I mean.
Again,
I didn't expect you to
think-
plan 4 seasons out.
I don't think they know what to do with 11.
I don't
So they
think.
just put her back in a tank with the same doctors
I
again.
think they don't know, and they even kind of mention it because like there's a lot of references in Hawkins about like, sure wish we had our superpowered girl who can just solve all the problems for us. And I'm like, yeah, it's because if she was here, she would just solve all of these problems for us. The problem wouldn't be like, how do we get to him? It's like, okay, I'll rip a hole open in the world. You go in there, you kill this guy, or like visit him in a dream, fucking kill him, and then we're all good.
All right, you got that out.
Yeah. So dreams play a part of it. They explicitly mention Nightmare on Elm Street. That's we said before, but tying into what we've been doing here.
I do like a lot of their little like references for the most part
Yeah.
because they usually do a pretty good job of it's not like super over the top.
It doesn't bother me at all.
It's fun.
I'm sure some people it's like cloying to, but not to me. I like it. I enjoy the show.
It doesn't take from the plot or anything like that when
No.
they do their little like references because it's
Just
literally
fun
like
stuff.
it is fun stuff. Like
Yeah.
you said, Robert
Well,
England.
Yeah, England.
England.
England, but with a U instead of
I
an
noticed when he's talking about his experience like with Vecna, he describes it as like a waking nightmare, and he's like Freddy Krueger. So I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. You know what I mean? And
they explicitly said they didn't mean that to be a reference. And it's like,
Okay.
I don't think that's true.
And then as soon as like the first person, Chrissy, right, gets like murdered, as soon as I watched her get murdered, I got like serious Nightmare on Elm Street vibes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like floating.
yeah, she pops up on screen, and I literally said to myself, not out loud, I was watching by myself, that'd be creepy. I was like, oh yeah, she's not making it to the end of this episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's got very obvious things going on that mark her as the designated non-survivor.
She's
Yeah.
the plot starter.
First to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Yep. I really liked Eddie
That's who you want to be in a horror movie. First
as
to
like a
go.
new character.
Yes. So yeah, let's talk about some of the new characters that aren't dead yet. Eddie at first was kind of
Horrible.
I didn't like his first scene where he's like walking on the cafeteria
I was
table.
Like, I was like, oh man, I hope
He's
this,
one
I-
of these.
Yeah, I was like, oh okay, they'll probably kill this guy like really fast, hopefully.
Yeah.
But he definitely grew on me. Once he's
Yeah.
running and scared and stuff, it's like, oh, they got a real actor to do some stuff here.
Yes. Yeah.
And he fits in. I would absolutely watch the older teens that go into the Upside Down. Those four would watch a spinoff with those guys. The Eddie, Steve, Nancy, Robin crew.
Yeah, I really like them
Like,
all.
I'd spend some time with those guys. They're cool.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the age thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only so much
couple
you can do,
episodes,
so it's fine. I laugh about it while I'm watching it, but what are you gonna do? You can't.
One of the things they do is the actor who plays Eddie, and I know they filmed this a year and a half ago, whatever. The actor who plays Eddie, who is a senior in high school, where the main kids are freshmen, he is 29 years old. So compared to that, the 18 and 19-year-olds who are playing freshmen, okay, yeah, I guess relatively speaking, they look like freshmen if a senior is about to turn 30.
Well, Eddie stood back twice, I think.
Yes,
Still.
that's true.
Still.
So
finally
he's
So
only
he's playing
years
20.
older than he's supposed to be.
So yeah, that's like, okay, that's how they get around it. Fine. Like all the upperclassmen are played by people in their mid 20s. He's explicitly 29, but
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was fun. Yeah, there's only so much you can do with it. You kind of just have to accept it and move on. I don't understand why they couldn't at least be sophomores.
Like we
Yeah.
skipped a year.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
what,
I was thinking
like-
that too. I was like, oh, maybe we time jumped a little bit. You know what I mean? And they're like, no, we're freshmen. I'm like, okay, cool.
These kids are not freshmen. They're absolutely not.
No,
Actually, you
no.
got a full beard.
These kids are like on their second marriages. They're paying alimony. They've lived lives. This is, I don't know, maybe look it up on your phone. The kid who plays wow, that's really dismissive. The actor who plays Will looks exactly like noted French filmmaker Agnes Varda, a woman. Not to say that he particularly looks like a woman. He looks like Agnes Varda in a weird, weird way.
Are they gonna have Will come out at any point?
I think they are going to do that thing where it's like owned by a big corporation. They're like, no, he gives them the wink, like Josh Gad's character in Beauty and the Beast, who's just like, no, he just really likes dancing. And then that way they don't have to cut anything out when they film it or when they show it in China.
Fair.
Oh. Well, I'm pretty sure he's going to, at some point, give Mike a poster of the two of them nude on a horse together.
That's what that poster is, right?
Two of them riding a horse shirtless.
Will
And he's
won't
like,
let me see any
"Will,
of his paintings.
Are you your best friend? Yes. Check out this best friend artwork I got. Got of us best buddies. That's you shirtless on a horse. That's me behind you, also shirtless on the horse, holding on to you for stability.
That's a really weird thing that they didn't like. Is that going to come back in a big way in part 2 for a thing to introduce in episode 1 and not resolve yet?
Because like Elle specifically mentions not seeing any of his paintings, like he won't show them to her.
It's definitely erotica.
I really thought it was something kind of like inappropriately erotic. I also like, it didn't bother me. I just kind of thought it was funny, but
Yeah.
Elle lies to Mike a bunch and says she has all these friends. Why does she?
What a bummer of a scene.
Yeah, why does she explicitly name the friends and choose the kids who hate her the most as you like, yeah, this is my friend Angela. There's not like some other girl in your class that's like kind of quiet that doesn't bother you that you would be like, yeah, that's
Or
my
just
friend.
or just make it up. He's only there for a week and he's not going to your school. Your school's closed. Oh yeah, we're like we have lunch together, but we don't see each other outside of school.
Yeah.
Or like she's on vacation this week. You can't meet her.
Yeah, my best friend is this girl who fucking hates me.
Oh, that's just Angela.
It was so funny that like
Yeah.
that's who you picked on.
I think that is like and obviously they're getting after a Keery thing in these
Yeah.
early scenes with her being bullied, but that is as much as a lot of the references and the tropey stuff that it does that it then can then be like, oh yeah, we know it's a trope. We're doing it on purpose. It usually doesn't bother me when
That
when it's happening in Hawkins. It doesn't bother me, but with that,
I didn't like those scenes.
yeah, I didn't like those scenes either. That was a thing where it was kind of just like, I get it. I'm going to fast forward because I don't enjoy this.
I felt like those scenes were supposed to make you think that like maybe Elle murdered all of those kids in the flashbacks. Like that was
Yes.
like, you know what I mean?
yeah, they're doing a
I-
Keery thing.
I just thought she murdered him anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
Gotcha.
like I
Yeah,
was like,
because
okay,
it
yeah,
tells you she did.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we were kidding.
yeah.
Um,
I was like, oh, she probably murdered him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
Gotcha.
whatever.
Still like Steve and Dustin's relationship. Still
It's
good.
so good.
Still good.
Like Steve and Dustin,
Joe
my
Keery and
probably
Gaten Matarazzo.
favorite
I read
characters.
somewhere that they were supposed to kill him off in season 1. I mean, it's just something on the internet.
Steve was
but-
supposed to die in season.
yeah, and then they were like, wow, he's really great. No, we're going to keep him.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how far into production that was true because it was a decision they made in season 1, so they must have gotten to know Joe Keery.
He was
and
like the
oh,
only
no, we gotta keep him.
enjoyable parts of season 2 and 3, so it's a good thing they did.
Yeah, yes, the him and Dustin stuff is
So
has
good.
been very winning the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, if you think back to season 1, it would make sense that he would die.
Yeah,
like just the
absolutely.
way that his character was and the way that things were going, it would
Make
make
more
sense.
sense
It would
than
fit.
Barb.
They were
Yeah.
gonna kill him off when he came back into the house when they were fighting
Yeah.
the Demigorgon.
Yeah,
like
when he
that's
had
the
his
scene
little
where he
redemption
would.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have his redemption moment, die, and it makes
And they're
sense
like,
too, 'cause
they realize they don't have to do that much redemption with him because he just turned into a much better character.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
they just pivoted to that.
Yep.
Mhm. He's best. I think Steve is the best character.
Well, he was starting like his redemption started like off screen when he started dating Nancy before the series started because that was like a different girl out of the realm for him, and that's what he wanted. Like he realized like, oh, being a douche isn't the default. Like she's a really cool person. Maybe I can be a cool person too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
all the good characters revolving around Steve is probably smart.
Yes, because I was gonna say it's like him and Dustin, but then him and Robin is like my
Yes.
next favorite thing that's going on. Is like,
Would also
They're-
want to hang out with those people more.
yeah, their relationship is like just so good.
Yeah.
I like Nancy a lot.
I do really like Nancy
She's doing a
too.
good job this season.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It is kind of like sad how much everyone back in Hawkins is just like, okay, look, we all know Jonathan fucking sucks.
I do.
You got to get back with Steve.
It is sad.
It is
yeah.
really
And she's
sad.
kind of just like, you know what, Jonathan does suck. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't have a lot of love for Jonathan,
Well-
but like, can the FBI or whatever send a message? Just he's probably just like, look, I'm going to lose my girlfriend. Can you just tell her why I can't call her right now?
Yeah.
I mean, Jonathan is also like, I suck. I'm not good enough for Nancy. So it's like,
Yep.
nobody's rooting for Jonathan.
No,
He
not
didn't
even-
get
not
into
even Jonathan.
Emerson.
Not even
Yeah. Oh.
Unlike some of us, he didn't get into Emerson.
Did he even apply though? It seemed like he just didn't apply.
No, it seemed like he didn't try.
I
Yeah.
assumed he didn't try. He didn't apply.
But that doesn't mean my statement was incorrect.
No, it doesn't.
He didn't get in.
Oh, man.
Okay.
And,
I didn't get in either.
Among the community, that the sweatshirt that Nancy's wearing, very big right now, or shirt, t-shirt, whatever. I never saw it in person like when I was there, but good logo.
But yeah, I liked them going into the upside down because that's always really cool when anyone goes into the
Good
upside down.
stuff. Fight some bats.
Yeah, fighting those like bats and stuff, and like them hiding and like taking the bikes.
Mm.
And also, I like all the questions they raised this season. Like, what is the upside down exactly? because it's stuck in what 4 years ago or whatever.
When L first opened.
So they said it's when L first opened, but now my thought is it when L first opened or is it when Vecna got sent in? Because that's like,
Well, same
I think
thing.
the timeline is basically the same day.
Right.
The season 1 starts with like the Demogorgon comes in and is like murdering everyone. Because I think what they said in this one was she blocks those memories of her throwing Vecna through the portal, and then they continue along a little bit longer with just her as the only kid, basically.
Right, you thought she
Okay,
like
right.
that's how she knew how to get out when the Demogorgon happened later, because she ripped the tracker out of him and then he went on and murdered everyone, and instead of escaping back through that vent, she threw him into the upside down and probably passed out after that.
Mm-hmm.
Got put back in.
Yeah. So I assume like now we don't know really I'm assuming this is the event that the upside down is paused at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost considering
I
like
think that's fair.
it was probably a blank space when Vecna
I
got
assume it was,
sent in there.
especially from what it showed, like, because no one else has had this experience that he had where he gets like zapped and like becomes this thing.
Right.
So I'm assuming it's something to do with him and his like dimension, basically.
But then
you know
there's
what
also the mind flare, right?
I mean? That's the thing that confuses me is they refer to him as like the general and the mind flayer is like in charge.
Mm.
But I'm like, okay, so maybe this was the
Sauron,
mind
He's
flayers.
the Saruman,
Yeah.
I guess.
But why is it his dimension then? You know what I mean? So it wouldn't be, I don't know.
Unclear.
Yeah, I think that maybe they'll answer that. I kind of thought they would, and they left us on that like question.
It's a
Well,
little
there's still 2 more
nerve-wracking
episodes.
because they only have like 3.5, 4 hours with those 2 episodes to wrap all of this up.
There's another season.
Oh, right. Forgot there's season 5.
So they're going to wrap up the Vecna stuff, and then season 5, I guess, is just War on the Mind Flare.
We'll
Man, I hope
see.
they don't ruin this.
Hop ends up in a
know.
different communist prison.
I really wanted this to be the last season, to be honest.
When
with
I
you.
saw
Hops
season
in
1,
Guantanamo this season.
season 1, I watched it and I was like, this is the pinnacle of TV. I'm like, this
Yeah.
is like, it's never gonna get better than this. And then I don't know, they just do this thing where they just beat everything into the ground.
I might go back and start over again because I remember how fun those were. And I thought this was fun too. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's
I
some
really
being-
hoped when this first one came out that there wasn't going to be a season 2. And when a season 2 came out, I was like, oh, I was still hyped. And but
I remember being disappointed by season 2. 'cause
I was.
you
Yeah,
know,
season 2 was disappointing.
it
Did
just-
you read the article I sent you?
I did.
So season 2 talk. Season 2 has the episode The
I didn't do
Lost.
the homework.
It's okay. I thought Greg would share with you, but I guess he didn't.
She was asleep.
Oh, sure. What's it called? The
It's
Lost
in the middle of
Sister?
the night where we are. Where am I filming this?
Oh, yeah. It's the Lost Sister is the name of
Yes.
that episode. In season 2, if you need your memory jogged, maybe you're blocking it out like Elle with all the dead kids. In season 2, Elle goes on a little personal discovery mission to Philadelphia, I want to say,
Yeah.
or Chicago
so.
or something, and ends up getting like a rockabilly hairdo and a leather jacket. And she meets some other kids who were also numbered and could do mind stuff.
I think one of the
Just
kids
one.
she killed this season.
Right, because aren't they all dead? Well, not that she killed them, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, but one of them is numbered, right?
Yeah, one of them is a
That-
number.
That does
number
like the mind
I
tricking.
think it was 7.
something like that.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. I should have kept that in mind. Was watching this season to see if they ever reference. But then you see her dead body years earlier for some reason. Whatever. That doesn't matter. So that season in that episode in particular, some would argue the article I'm referencing is by Emily St. James. It's called "The Episode That Broke Netflix." This episode is what they probably should have done with the Hopper stuff this year, which is have this adventure not related to the Hawkins stuff all in one episode.
Mm.
And people hated it.
That was a bad episode. I
People
specifically
hated
remember
it.
because she just gets eyeliner and like a black leather jacket and like
Yep, she's in the city. You're like, this is a
It
rural
was an
show.
Yeah.
interesting concept, but from a different show. Like they
Yes.
filmed a whole different show and they were like, here's an episode of Stranger Things. And you're like,
Yeah.
no, it's not. I recognize that character, but this is
So it was supposed to be a backdoor pilot for a spinoff with those other characters. It was such a bad reaction that they didn't do that, obviously. You would have known about it by now.
that makes
and-
sense because it really felt like very
Yes. And then the other problem is it comes right after a big cliffhanger on the previous episode. And then this episode has nothing to do with that. So people were just upset about it, and Netflix has never taken a risk again, maybe, arguably. So this season, you have multiple things. Hopper probably should have just been one episode, one prison escape.
Yes.
And obviously that ties up Joyce and Mari for the whole season, basically. And then the California stuff, you don't need to pepper in as much. And if we could just do the Hawkins stuff, and I guess whatever you're doing with Elle, you obligatorily have to stretch that out too, because she is the biggest character on the show. Even if she's not necessarily the lead in every episode. I mean, like Millie Bobby Brown is the biggest deal to the target demographic. So,
But would the Hawkins stuff has felt as good if it wasn't after having to sit through the stupid?
I think that's very funny.
I didn't consider that.
Yeah. I guess if you've been staring at just like dour nonsense for a while in Russia,
This is so good.
and then like you come here and someone's happy, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember happiness. That's good.
Because I think I was already angry because I did not like the mall stuff. Well, like the Russian stuff in them. Like, why were the Russians there? You know what I mean? I still don't understand that.
Well, it was close to the source of, I guess they want weapons from the Upside Down in the form of.
How'd they get like a whole base built in Indiana?
No one was paying attention that day.
They owned the mall. Starcourt Mall was a front by the Russians. So when they built the mall, they built everything. Like the whole
and then
mall.
They just brought in like a whole Russian army.
That and like the
staffing is odd.
And the army out. Like because they also got everyone and Hopper out in like
that's what bothers me
45 minutes.
They got like
we
the government is
that.
coming, right? And they get everyone out, including Hopper. And I think what really bothered me was
we gotta talk about this.
At the end of season 3, they tell you Hopper's alive, right? Which I didn't particularly like because especially if there was another season, I would have liked the cliffhanger, honestly. Like, is Hopper alive? Like, you know what I mean? But when they show him in the Russian camp in the end of season 3, I was like, oh, he must have like fallen into the Upside Down, right? And then somehow maybe Russia has a gate now, and he came out in Russia. And then this season comes, Joy rushes in there. He's not there. Oh my God, I'm so
she
devastated.
Didn't look hard enough.
And he's just
like 15 feet.
He's on the floor.
He's on the floor. He's still
laying.
down.
Oh, he was just laying down. I look.
She's like, I looked. He was disintegrated. Like,
yeah,
but you kind of looked.
Yes, the last season ends with like the last time you actually see him is he's in front of that gate. And he turns around. He's like, gonna have to sacrifice myself. That one time we went on a date is gonna haunt me the rest of my life. That's like,
I assumed he jumped into it.
Yeah,
right? Like, I got nowhere else to go.
something.
I'll go into the Upside Down. Maybe I can figure something out from there.
Yes,
at least I'm not dead this second.
Yeah,
he was zapped.
Yes,
he didn't fall forward off of a platform down 15 feet and just kind of like got the wind knocked out of him, so he couldn't make a noise to alert Joyce that he was.
I'm thinking how the Russians got there is they dug a big hole underground straight from Russia.
I want to look at him
through it.
Indiana, weirdly close.
I want to look at a map now. Is Russia directly opposite Indiana on a map? You can dig straight through it.
There's the Upside Down, and there's just like the other side of Earth, which is also kind of the Upside Down.
That's the twist. It's just been Russia.
It's just been Russia.
It's Russia. It makes sense.
Russia. That's my grandmother, not Mind Flayer.
The weather's terrible, and they're
just
4
what it
years
looks
behind.
like here.
They're culturally 4 years behind, and the weather sucks. It's Russia. Anyway.
But yeah, I was really mad that it turns out he was just fell down because he wasn't far away.
That was very dumb. That was very dumb.
Demigorgon, you mean Russian bear? Sorry.
So what'd you guys know about Kate Bush before this season?
Nothing.
No,
Really?
But I got that banger on my Spotify, I'll tell you that.
So Kate Bush, like, you know, she was 3-time Grammy nominee. The album that Run Up That Hill's on is double platinum. She's a big deal.
now it's triple.
Huge. Yeah.
Good for her.
Nothing goes platinum anymore. Very sad. They have to keep changing the number that you have to get to.
She could get a myrrh.
Yeah, good for her. So yeah, it's one of the most influential and important musical artists of the 20th century. But yeah, it's a good thing that people are discovering her. That's my whole take on it.
I love that like 67 years old, she's getting her first like top 10 on the Billboard charts. Like she hasn't had made music in like 20 years. Like that's just such a fun, like, I don't know, anyone can do it story. You don't even have to keep making music. Sometimes it just happens.
I really liked that scene when they put the headphones on Max too. And it's weird because I really like Max, like the actress and the character, really like her. But when she was floating up in the air, I think I looked at Ray and I was like, man, big balls on Netflix if they break all her bones right here. I will be
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh shit. At that point, I'd be like, holy crap, any of these kids can die.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would have been nuts.
So
That would have been nuts, right?
that is the transition I want to do. But real quick, you should listen to the Hounds of Love album that Run Up the Hill's on. Great album, one of the best ever made. Kate Bush, check it out, so good. Sadie Sink is the breakout character, the breakout actor on this season of Stranger Things. Even though she came in season 3, she plays Max, and it seemed like Millie Bobby Brown, probably the leader in the clubhouse for a few years there. It seems like Sadie Sink's actually the one that's going to break through and be in big things. You know, all apologies to the last 2 Godzilla movies, but I don't think those are cultural darlings for Millie Bobby Brown. Sadie Sink is starring opposite the big Brendan Fraser comeback in a Darren Aronofsky movie that's coming out this year that's going to be an Oscar play. So
I mean, she's good.
by
Yeah,
this
she's real good.
by this time next year, she may be an Oscar nominee. Apparently, she's really good in it. Of people who have seen it so far, it's called The Whale. It's Aronofsky's first movie in a while. He's the guy who, he's the guy who made like Requiem for a Dream and Black Swan. So I think she's going to get some interesting shit to do.
Yeah. And then, so that says a lot. Like, she is that good. And I still was
Yes.
kind of rooting for her bones to get all snapped and mangled to that part.
That would be at least be like, okay.
That, yeah.
I remember because the shot across the bow to like, oh, there's something going on here is Barb in season 1, right? When you're like, well, she's going to get out of this.
yes.
Barb's just like the best friend character who didn't do anything to anyone. Like, no, she gets super murdered.
Yes.
She gets horribly murdered.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
I really like Max
Sadie
stuff.
Sink breaking out.
I can't tell if it's like very obvious or if I'm actually at the other side of things and putting too much meaning into it. But is anybody else picking up on almost like a suicide awareness, like anti-suicide vibe from the season? Just with like the way Vecna talks and like the way he tries to make you feel like you're guilty and you deserve it. And
Yeah.
especially with like the song Running Up the Hill when they were playing that, it really just felt like Max was all of a sudden fighting. You know, like, I don't know. It gave me an interesting feeling. I liked
See
it.
that?
Yeah. The language he uses, like, now I'm going to end your suffering or whatever.
Yeah, I didn't get quite that, but when the song starts, I have that same vibe where like I was like, I think she like had accepted it, and that's why I was like, oh, this is it, like kill her, kind of like I didn't think it was really gonna happen. I was like, maybe there's like a 1% chance they kill her here, but I did get that feeling like, oh, she's like, okay, this is it. I'm not. She was done fighting.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And the
Yes.
song starts, she's like, you know what? Fuck it.
I'm running up that hill.
And like
running up the hill.
as she's running and the stuff is like almost knocking her down and she just keeps like, I don't know, it's very like that scene, like I teared up. It was a
It was a
very
good scene.
Because I did. I felt like
Yes.
once she can see them through the thing is when she's like, you know what? No, it's worth it. It's worth it to make go take the shot here.
People who care about you and all that stuff. And that's episode is called Dear Billy, and that's also been the one that's pulled out by most people as the standout for this season so far.
Yeah.
And it reminds me a lot of the WandaVision moment that people pulled out where Paul Bettany says, you know, what is grief but love enduring or whatever. And people were kind of tooling on kids who were like, oh, this is the best stuff ever written. And it was like, oh, watch a Fellini movie, then talk to me, 13-year-old. And it's like, and again, it's like, okay, these people, you know, Zoomers and whatever generations after them, because Zoomers are like in college now, they're not served stuff with pathos most of the time. So even if it's like kind of broadly drawn, there's some stuff that Sadie Sink gets to do in that, and she's a really good performer that they just don't get a lot of. So it's the same thing as like the Kate Bush thing with me, where it's like, yeah, no, it's cool that they're checking out some like emotional shit. It's good. It's a good thing.
But yeah,
I just have me facing this way. I don't mean to be directing everything directly to you.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah.
oh my god. No, but I really like that scene.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like what scenes I saw that I was like, this is like real good. Obviously, like I said, when they fall on the upside down and they're riding like the bikes, and the scene where they flip them too, when
That's
the young
cool.
kids are riding the bikes and they flip onto the up. Like as soon as you see the young kids riding the bikes, I'm like, oh, they're gonna flip it and they're gonna be. But it was still really
It's
cool.
good.
I loved the bed sheet or whatever, just like being taught on both sides of like
That was cool.
I even like it even better like Dustin's comments. He's like, we'll see if this is gonna work the way I think it does or something like that. He's like, It does.
It does. And I'm just like, I love it. I
like that
don't.
both Steve and Eddie are just like, man, if he just didn't have so much hubris.
Yes, he didn't have so much hubris.
Like, sure, he's right most of the time, but does he have to be such a jerk about it? What I really thought was like, oh, they're about to get out, but then Nancy falls off and it's like, she's got to end up in a Russian work camp. It's like everybody almost gets to go home and then ends up in Russia.
I was actually really scared they were going to kill fucking Steve there.
Yeah.
Or like something was going to grab Steve.
I thought that's what was happening. So the Nancy twist was like, oh,
Because
something
Steve's
new.
going last. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Steve's all fucked up. Why wouldn't you send him first? You know what I mean?
Why wouldn't you send him first?
When they had her like fall
He's
through
chivalrous.
the upside down, I was like, oh my God, are they going to make another, like, there was the upside down, but there's also the side by side?
Yeah.
It's like, I will lose my
This
shit.
dimension goes slantways. It's like the Wonka Vader dimension. So just because we don't have a ton of time left, I do want to talk a little bit about Maya Hawke, who plays Robin, also introduced in season 3, also acting circles around a lot of the regulars on the show.
Mhm.
And yeah, and that's not an anti-Finn Wolfhard thing, but I'm not going to correct you if you thought it was. There's with the Max character coming in and actually getting to do some cool stuff this season, with Maya Hawke just being like a person that is just a fully formed character that could just be really shrill and annoying, but she pulls off an endearing thing with it. I don't know.
Maya Hawke, Robin.
Yes. Yeah. So that's just in case you didn't know, Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's daughter.
Oh, no way.
Mhm.
If you look at a picture of them now, you can
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I
really
can already
see it.
picture it.
Yeah. I discovered that this season too. Didn't know.
Yep. She's not been in a ton of stuff, but hopefully we'll be in more soon. She has a really small part in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as the Manson family member who runs away before they try and do the murdering.
Mm.
Oh, you're right. I forgot.
Oh.
Yep.
She's really good in this too.
Yeah, she's fantastic.
She's excellent.
Yeah.
I love
really
that they
good.
had her crush come and sing, because I don't know if you when she told Steve that she had a crush on that girl, Steve was like, her voice is horrible. What is wrong with you? Why do you think her voice was good? And
Yes.
then they
Oh,
actually had her
that's
come
a
and
different
sing.
person.
Oh, is it a different person?
The crush is the one who was standing next to her, and they were both making fun
That's
of
the
her.
new
wasn't it?
crush.
No,
Yeah, he-
in season 3,
in
Really?
season,
they bonded over.
they bond over having
I-
a crush on the same girl.
Because the
Yeah.
girl liked Steve,
Really?
and Steve
Okay.
liked that girl
Yeah.
that was singing.
Oh.
And she was like, her voice was horrible. And then they actually had her come out for that bit.
Because
to
when
show
she
it.
comes to
I didn't
sing,
pick up on
Robin
that at
and
all.
Steve keep like making eye contact with like, oh, look, like she's here.
Because
kinda
she
thing.
moved to like Nashville or something
Yeah.
to be a singer.
okay.
And
and that's why she's like
back.
super pitchy and like, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bit from the last
that
season.
scene makes a lot more sense to me
Yeah.
now.
It's
Yeah.
a very good scene.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
one
really
of my
good.
favorites.
You know what? There's no harm in being wrong. I'm glad I asked.
Yep.
I'll cut out the part where I was wrong, make it sound like you were wrong.
Make us look like we're just yelling at you.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, you
sorry.
haven't said anything yet, but we know you're thinking something and you're wrong.
Then somehow gonna piece it together, so he's the one that came up
Yeah.
with the realization.
and just like popcorning around just to get it in before we have to stop. With a lot of newer movies, and I guess the ones that I'm mostly thinking about are the 2 It movies, where a lot of the scares come from like a fully CGI creation, or earlier seasons of Stranger Things that didn't have, like Vecna is this season, an actor in a suit with some CGI. They were just like big CGI black blobs, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Demogorgons, but still CGI. I often feel like that sort of mutes it. We were talking before about Jurassic Park and how like the puppet dinosaurs are still so effective. And when it's just all CGI, you're kind of just like, yeah, whatever. That being said, I feel like the floating and bone crunching thing that they do this season, real good.
Yeah.
This season
Real good.
Mhm.
is far scarier than any other season, in my opinion. Like this season, like
It's just very visceral way to kill
I'm
someone.
uncomfortable a lot. I'm like I don't know if scared is quite the right word, but like I'm uncomfortable. I'm kind of nervous. Like
Well, they definitely seem to like cross the border into horror, which was I don't
yes,
I just remember the first season, I guess it was more suspenseful.
the other was
Yeah.
suspense, and now it's like horror.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
I also think it could be part because they keep murdering, like the children murders come up a lot too, and that's just like kind of unpleasant every time they show all the dead children, and they just
Yes.
they keep coming back to it too. Like you've seen these dead children a lot of times, and it's pretty unpleasant every time they show the dead children.
Sure.
And then the bone crunching stuff is like definitely horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and it's effective more so than like a big blobby monster chasing them. That's
Mhm.
and like the big scene in season 3 is undercut anyway because that's the never ending story scene where the big monster's chasing them, but Dustin and Susie are singing
Oh,
Neverending Story.
Mm-hmm.
Which is I like that scene a lot
I do too.
but because it's funny,
Yes.
not because it's like an affecting, traumatic thing to see.
Yes.
Yeah, it's also creepy as hell that he has their bodies still in his
Mhm.
like
His-
lair. I wonder what's going on. Like, there's probably something
Makes
more going on
sense.
with that too.
And
you know?
that's been an upside down thing before too, right?
yeah,
That like
Why?
but they've never been in two places before.
Why did they
right.
keep
No,
one
yeah.
on as a janitor?
Oh yeah, the number one. The-
Why did
Oh,
they
yeah.
keep number
Oh.
one on as a janitor?
No
Well, I
idea.
don't think he's not
No
like
idea.
a janitor. He works there with the kids.
Yeah, but why? That should not
It'd
be
be
a
really
thing.
funny if he had like a big fake
He's
mustache
close.
and had like a push broom. Like
He's close to a janitor.
it's just me,
He's an orderly.
He's
John Uno.
He's not an orderly. He's like a glorified babysitter. He's like working a minimum wage job.
And they
Although he
just-
did genuinely seem to want to help Elle, just wanted to kill everyone else in the process.
Yes.
Why would they have him work there?
They shouldn't have.
That makes
was-
no sense.
Yeah,
Especially
he clearly
like-
doesn't have social skills. Just send him out into the world. He'll be dead within a year.
Like, and they're like, okay, well, he's fine because this little tiny thing in his neck that he can physically touch.
Yeah, I was just. Why didn't he cut it out before that?
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like, he can physically touch it, right?
That's all Elle does,
he's
right?
squeamish.
She just
rips it out. He
I thought
could've-
she was gonna crush it. Like, I thought we were gonna watch it get crushed, and then I'd be like, oh, okay. Like, how would he have crushed it?
Maybe
You know
that's
what I
what
mean?
he was thinking too. And he's like, well, I could have done that. He's like bleeding from his carotid artery or whatever.
We put it on his carotid. We figured that was like
That was
his
enough.
soup right away.
Yeah, I don't understand why he was working there.
No, well, I guess it's sort of like they want to monitor him because
Leave him in a cell.
because
Right.
he has the thing where he can't leave. Yeah, put him in a cell is what you do, right?
Yeah, like why you?
He's
Yeah.
weird too, though, because he just developed his powers.
now is that so? That's like the device in him. It's tracking and it keeps him there, or it's
It's
tracking
muting.
and
It's turning
muting
his powers
pow-
off.
Right, turns his powers off.
Um,
So then there's no harm in letting him leave if his powers are off, unless you think he is going to like go to a doctor and be like, "Oh no,
he's definitely.
this
They
out.
know he's gonna try something, right? But yeah, so
Yeah.
his
I
powers
guess
are,
you got to keep
are
him there." But yeah,
natural.
cell.
and now the new story is his are natural, and all the kids are them trying to copy, remake him,
Yes, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing.
which would happen probably if we found someone with like crazy powers. Like they'd be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
how do we do that?
Yeah.
Someone with crazy powers that is difficult to control.
People can clearly do it, so
Yeah, exactly. They'd be like, oh, okay, people can do it. Let's make some people do it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to shit on this place thing too much, but all the best scenes we mentioned, all Hawkins. There's no good scenes outside of Hawkins.
Oh, you don't like that time where Argyle makes a pizza joke? Where he's like, "Hey man, I like weed. You want pizza?" And you're like, "Oh, I'm glad they made a new character for this."
he's such a three-dimensional character. You really.
There is, I told you, I saw a tweet that said the most unrealistic thing about this season is when they're burying that agent's body in the desert, that they don't kill Argyle and bury him there too, and just take his car.
Oh man, Argyle sucks.
I didn't mind seeing Susie's family, like her big Mormon family that she's got, and like chaos going on. I don't know.
I
was
just
kinda
kept
funny.
thinking of Pat the entire time.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you
Is
enjoy
it-
it
is
because
a
we had
lot-
like a weird thing with the Mormons.
Yeah, I got a good laugh out of it.
Is a
Yeah.
lot of kids the Mormon thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, a big part of it is
You have as many
make more
children as you
Mormons.
can. Yeah.
Make more Mormons. You're like that's the thing. God wants you to make as many Mormons as you can.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think they're quite against condoms, but I don't think they'd like encourage them.
They don't encourage you.
Yeah.
They literally encourage you. Like they want you to have a big family.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got to add more to that choir.
More mans.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
we need all
Okay.
the Latter-day Saints we can
We
afford.
need more mans.
More mans.
How many mans do we need?
Man,
More.
we need a name for this religion. Well, we
gotta
definitely
make
need some more mans.
Joseph Smith's like, I've got it. I subscribe to how South Park views Mormonism.
That's actually Mormonism.
I also like that the Mormons in South Park real nice.
That is
Pretty
also
fun.
actually Mormonism.
Yeah.
Yeah, growing up, when anyone was like too nice, my dad would describe them as Mormon nice. So it's a thing. So we generally agreed favorite characters are the ones in Hawkins, give or take a Lucas this season.
Yeah, I'm not a big. Lucas is fine. Yeah, I'm not a big fan.
think he's. I
He's
mean,
better
eventually
this
ends up on the right side, but it takes like 3 hate crimes before he's like, I don't want to hang out with these guys.
I give him a little.
Most
more,
people cut off as one.
I gave him a little more credit, and I was like, well, maybe he's sticking with them to like, if something goes wrong, I want to be here.
Yeah.
Like if
Eventually, that is like he does mislead them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And try to trap them in the cabin.
Yes. I honestly think too he just doesn't have as much to do. Like his character just is not as important, so it's hard to like him as much. You know what I
They
mean?
give his sister more stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's actually like involved in the big stuff this season.
Oh, the whole scene with them talking to them in the Upside Down was really good.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
They're like, without putting too fine a point on it, trying to recreate the Christmas lights from season 1 with Winona Ryder.
Yes, exactly.
So a little thought experiment. We're talking about Netflix and their many failings to we haven't really put a fine point on it. It is at like a pretty bad place. They're losing subscribers whilst raising prices and not having that much original content that people are interested in.
That's why they split up this season.
Oh yeah.
Because they have an earnings report June 30th.
It's 2 months of subscribers.
And they don't have to report till Q3 if everybody cancels after the next part comes out.
Yeah, I really don't like that. I was like that's very gimmick. There was no reason to split.
There's
I
no
think
reason.
Either do it weekly or like 2 a week or something, or do it all at once. Don't do 7 and 2.
Yeah, it's weird.
I guess it's not bad.
Although they're all almost feature length, and then the last 2 I think are like 2.5 hours long.
So
right?
many people binge these now, though. You know, like it's not uncommon for somebody to binge like the whole season in 1 or 2 days, and then they know the ending.
Right, but I mean, I feel like it would be better for them, and a lot like Disney Plus does this now, where they're only doing the weekly episodes, or they do 2 on week 1 and then do weekly.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
where like you have so much more conversation that you can drive
pick one.
in the media.
Let me binge it all right away, or give it to me like weekly. I don't want this like weird like you know what I mean?
But Netflix could have had like 2 months of conversation that they would dominate with Stranger Things, but they get a couple weekends now. That's it.
Yeah.
It's so. What's the number 1 movie in America right now? This one's easy.
Is it Top Gun?
Top Gun Maverick, directed by Joseph Kosinski. So this is a hypothetical, just to like, talk about some streaming services and business plans and whatnot.
Are you starting your own streaming service?
I am. So let's take the guy who directed what is currently the number 1 movie in America. His name's Joseph Kosinski. He directed Top Gun Maverick. That movie stars Miles Teller as like the main guy opposite Tom Cruise. Let's put him in this movie. And like, what Avenger are you most interested in seeing what they do next? For me, it's like Chris Hemsworth, because I feel like he has a lot more texture than the other guys.
Which Avenger?
So,
I'm not super interested in any of them. Maybe, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say Chris Hemsworth. He's a big, stupid, like pretty. I mean, he's a famous guy, but he's got like some.
I like Chris Evans
chat.
too, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's for this experiment, let's say Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah.
And we'll put him, Miles Teller in a movie together, directed by Joseph Kosinski, based on, I don't know, one of the most famous short stories ever, Escape from Spiderhead.
Escape from what?
The Prestige. That movie exists. It's called Spiderhead. It's out in 5 days on Netflix. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Yep. The guy who directed Top Gun Maverick has a new movie starring Chris Evans and Miles Teller. It's out on Netflix at the end of the week.
And what is it called?
Spiderhead.
Spiderhead.
I have heard of this.
So Netflix,
just the name,
marketing
though. Nothing else about
sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I either heard about it from you or from maybe Blank Check would have said it.
Probably they would have. They're excited about it. Yeah. So Netflix's marketing is insane. So yes, they have a Chris Hemsworth movie directed by the guy who made Top Gun Maverick out in a few days. By the time this episode comes out, I think it will be out, unless I put it out before then. June 17th, I want to say. So
how do you? I can't even.
Did you like my magic trick?
Yeah. I did. How do you market?
I don't have any games, so that's it.
How do you market things on Netflix?
I mean, you could buy a billboard.
I guess
it's a movie release, just like.
But I just think
ads
like
on
buy ads and stuff. I feel like
websites.
We don't
okay. Where do you? I mean,
like,
you see Stranger Things ads.
I was gonna say we don't have cable, but we still see ads for stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like it's just they don't have commercials, they can't advertise. It's like you're scrolling some social media site and there's like tons of like by the director of
sponsored.
Yeah. How much did it cost to make this movie? Like Chris Hemsworth is in it. Like, what are we doing? It's not like on top of everything else, it's coming out within like a week of the new Thor movie. Yes. You're not trying to like be like, we also have a new Chris Hemsworth movie.
From the
I-
dude
what are
who's
we
Thor.
doing?
I'd love to see them buy theater ad space and then just at the end be like, in your living room in 5 days, bitch. How's that sound?
Yeah. I don't know what. I just don't know what they're doing.
It's true. Every
Ever
time
since-
Netflix comes out with a original movie, even one that someone like ends up getting some good buzz,
The bubble.
it's out and listed in their like thing, and I'm like, oh, this has been out for like a month, and I like just didn't know.
Yeah, they have just a glut of too many things, but it's just like, man, let's put a little effort. Let's put a little effort
Some new
in.
marketing people.
Well, they fired everyone, so they can't.
Okay.
Fair.
They fired so many people in the last few months. It's insane.
If Netflix tries to charge me a single dollar, I will cancel.
Do they not currently charge you money?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
We password share.
Oh, okay.
See
Yeah.
how long that lasts.
Right, yeah, that is something that they're trying to crack down on. Is
I just
password
wouldn't use
sharing,
Netflix
but,
anymore.
Like
Yeah.
I don't pay for the Netflix.
That's
Yeah.
Well, I pay for the Netflix, and if they start charging for password sharing, and be like, "Sorry guys, I don't like Netflix that much."
yeah. Some of their decisions are getting very Movie Pass. Except with Movie Pass, I could see movies I wanted to.
Yeah.
With this, it's like here's another. I don't know. There's that. What, The Gray Man? That's another like movie that cost them over $100 million to make.
I don't know of any like. I'm
Fullness.
only looking at continue watching, watch again. That like top 5. I don't usually look at that. I don't usually look at like
I go
Recently
through 'em.
released.
I found some pretty decent ones just
If-
from going through like these are the hot.
yeah. Only though like if I'm not content with anything in the continue watching or watch again, and I'm usually pretty content with those.
That's fair.
So this is even like another example, right? I already gave away The Prestige. That this is a movie that's coming out, and I guess to its credit is not coming out until July. But yeah, The Gray Man. You haven't heard of it?
Nope.
No.
It's by the Russo brothers. Ever heard of them?
Nope.
Really?
Of course I have.
Yeah, they directed the last couple Avengers movies. Written by Marcus and McFeely, who did the Captain America movies.
Have you been saying Marcus and McFeely?
Yes.
Okay.
Starring Ryan Gosling.
Don't know him. Never heard of him.
Stop saying that every time. Chris Evans.
No, not my Avenger I was looking forward to 2 seconds ago.
You said it. You said you like him though. You're locked in. You have to watch this movie. And Ana de Armas. And yeah,
Isn't Gosling what you call a baby goose?
Yes.
Yes.
also a Canadian hunk.
Canadian honk.
Canadian honk. And then and they have that guy from Bridgerton in the supporting role.
Guy.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it, like Regine Page or whatever. Neither do I, but I know that he was like the breakout star, and then they didn't give him enough money to come back for season 2.
Nice.
Anyway, all those people are making a movie. It's out in a couple weeks. It cost Netflix $200 million.
Chump change. They'll just throw it out there.
So I guess they don't have a lot left for. At least with this, I have seen ads for it online.
Oh man.
But yeah, it's just another thing that's like, why'd they make this movie? If
Yeah,
they're
it's
not
weird if
gonna,
you're
like-
making a movie but you don't advertise it at all.
if they're not going to treat it like a huge blockbuster.
They
Like
probably
you can't
would have
turn
had a
on
better
it.
chance of winning an Oscar if they had done that with like their other movies.
Yeah, they just have they're at cross purposes with a lot of their marketing. And they've already said that they're not going to do so many. The word that they used was vanity projects, which everyone got mad about because the example they used was The Irishman and not Mank, which they should have used. Because Mank is like the definition of a vanity project. It's like an unrealized script that David Fincher's dad wrote that he made into a movie. He made Netflix pay like $150 million for it. Whatever. It's neither here nor there. But they have said that they don't really want to make movies like that anymore. They just want to pay $200 million for a movie that they're not going to advertise, I guess.
Good.
Sound business model.
It's just weird, man. That's the point. It's just weird.
It's just weird.
And I think we're going to cut out everything after I yelled The Prestige because that was my favorite part of the episode.
That's just the end of the episode.
The Prestige. Viewers are gonna
You can
picture
still
like
end
he
with it.
just used like a smoke bomb and disappeared.
What would be a theme where we can do The Prestige? I guess the obvious one is magic, but
Now you see me.
Hugh Jackman
the
month.
Prestige.
yeah, Hugh Jackman month, magic month.
We should wrap up though.
Yeah. That's what we're doing. We're talking
Okay.
about Hugh Jackman. That means it's over.
Like every episode.
Like every episode.
That's how we end every episode.
I don't know because I never listened.
The season's not done yet. Should we do a rating or what do we think?
I need the rest of the season. I can't
Yeah.
rate an unfinished thing.
It's incomplete.
Yeah.
I like where it is right now. I hope they stick the landing.
Yeah. I'll give an I for incomplete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I for incomplete.
INC on
If
the
they can
report card.
resubmit some of their work, then we can give them a grade.
Yeah, they get extra credit to make up the month in between the two last episodes.
Mm.
Got about 2.5 weeks to make it up.
Do you think they're gonna blow it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out Vecna is just like a cool guy. Now he's part of the gang for season 5.
Gonna go solve some mystery, guys.
Yeah, he's like the Scooby-Doo of the group
They're
going
gonna
forward.
if they unmask him in the end.
just like
Just
the
a guy in
blonde
a
guy
mask.
under.
He's the regular guy again. It's just an outfit. That's why it's not CGI.
No, I think they have set themselves up pretty interestingly. There's a surprising lack of dangling threads that they left from the first part, at least, aside from Nancy and just like the ongoing stuff. But I mean, like, I think Nancy and technically Steve are the only people in like immediate peril.
Yep.
Whatever. So yeah, like where it is so far. Hope it could stick the landing.
Yeah.
Good.
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 This is a bonus episode, so whatever. You know where to find us.
Nice.
This is a free
We
one.
spent $50 million making this episode. You're not even gonna advertise it.
You can find us on Instagram at late2themovies_podcast. That's 2 the number. late2themovies@gmail.com. If you have any complaints about these free content that you're getting for free, unlike Netflix, we're not increasing our prices or making worse things. And yeah, that's all you really need to know. Again, this is free. We're doing this because we love you, and the least you could do is give us 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
But not like love, you know.
Yeah,
Like a friend.
Like a friend.
No, like real romantic love. If you're hearing this, we are in love with you, and that's the note we should end on. No, probably not.
We're gonna dump Jonathan for you.
Yeah, I would dump Jonathan for you if you rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbeans.
I was gonna say, don't be a pod beans.
You gotta remember Podbeans. And yeah, that's it. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.